The morning sun of June 29, 1978, was already baking the pavement of Scottsdale, Arizona. But inside apartment 132 of the Winfield Place complex, a darkness had settled that no light could pierce. Victoria Barry, a co-star in the dinner theater production of Beginner's Luck, arrived to check on the show's leading man after he failed to show up for a scheduled meeting. What she found would shatter the wholesome image of one of America's most beloved television stars forever. Lying across the bed, partially covered by a blood-soaked sheet, was Bob Crane, the charismatic hero of Hogan's Heroes. His head had been brutally bludgeoned, and a black electrical cord was knotted tightly around his neck. The man who had spent years outwitting the Gestapo on screen had met a horrific, lonely end in a room filled with the very technology that would eventually expose his most private secrets. Before we delve deeper into the double life and tragic demise of Bob Crane, please take a quick moment to comment, like, and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime, where we explore the darkest moments in history, one day at a time. To the public, Bob Crane was the quintessential American leading man. As Colonel Robert Hogan, he was the witty, resourceful leader of a group of Allied prisoners of war who spent their days making life miserable for their German captors. The show was a massive hit, running for 6 seasons and earning Crane 2 Emmy nominations. He was a talented drummer, a popular radio personality, and a man who seemed to have the world at his feet. But when Hogan's Heroes was canceled in 1971, the roles began to dry up. The charming smile that had once captivated millions now struggled to find a home on the silver screen, leading Crane to the grueling circuit of dinner theater. A move that would ultimately lead him to Scottsdale and his final curtain call. Beneath the surface of his professional life, Crane harbored a growing obsession that few in his inner circle fully understood. He was a pioneer of home video, but his interest wasn't in cinema. It was in documenting his own sexual encounters. This obsession brought him into the orbit of John Henry Carpenter, a video equipment salesman for Sony. The two became inseparable, traveling together and using the latest technology to record Crane's escapades with numerous women. Carpenter provided the gear and the technical know-how, while Crane provided the star power. It was a symbiotic relationship built on a foundation of shared vices, one that would eventually become the focal point of a decades-long murder investigation. In June 1978, Crane was in Scottsdale for a run of Beginner's Luck at the Windmill Dinner Theater. His personal life was in turmoil. He was in the midst of a divorce from his second wife, Sigrid Valdis, and he had reportedly told friends he was ready to clean up his act and sever ties with Carpenter. On the night of June 28th, Crane and Carpenter were seen together at a local club, but witnesses noted a tension between them. By the early hours of June 29th, the man who had helped Crane document his secret life was allegedly preparing to leave town, while Crane retired to his apartment for what would be his final night of sleep. The crime scene was a gruesome testament to the violence of the attack. Investigators found no signs of forced entry, suggesting Crane knew his killer or had left the door unlocked. The murder weapon, believed to be a heavy camera tripod, was missing, though a similar tripod was later found in the trunk of Carpenter's rental car. The investigation, however, was plagued from the start. Scottsdale police, more accustomed to property crimes than high-profile homicides, failed to secure the scene properly. Dozens of people walked through the apartment, potentially destroying vital evidence, and the local media was tipped off almost immediately, turning the tragedy into a public spectacle before the body had even been removed. The primary suspect was always John Carpenter. When police searched his rental car, they found small smears of blood on the passenger door. In 1978, forensic science was in its infancy, and testing could only confirm that the blood was type B, the same as Bob Crane's. It wasn't enough for a conviction, and the case went cold for over a decade. The world moved on, but the shadow of the murder loomed over Crane's legacy as the discovery of his extensive collection of amateur pornography shifted the narrative from a tragic loss to a cautionary tale of Hollywood's dark underbelly. It wasn't until 1992 that a new investigator, Rick Romley, decided to take another look at the evidence. With advances in technology and a fresh set of eyes, the state finally brought John Carpenter to trial in 1994. The prosecution argued that Carpenter had killed Crane in a fit of rage after being told their friendship was over. They presented the blood evidence and the missing tripod as the smoking guns. However, the defense pointed to the botched original investigation and the lack of a clear motive or eyewitnesses. After a highly publicized trial, the jury found Carpenter not guilty. He maintained his innocence until his death in 1998, leaving the question of who killed Bob Crane officially unanswered. In 2016, the case returned to the headlines when Phoenix News anchor John Hook convinced authorities to allow for modern DNA testing on the original blood samples. The results were a mixed bag. While one sample showed a partial match to Crane, another contained DNA from an unknown male, further muddying the waters. Some believe this proves Carpenter's innocence, while others argue it simply reflects the contaminated nature of the original evidence. The mystery of June 29th remains one of Hollywood's most enduring cold cases, a story of fame, obsession, and a search for justice that has spanned nearly half a century. Bob Crane's life was a study in contrasts, a man who brought joy to millions while struggling with demons that he kept hidden behind a camera lens. His murder remains a dark chapter in the history of Scottsdale, and a reminder that even the most charismatic heroes can have secrets that eventually catch up to them. As we close the file on this date in the calendar of crime, we are left to wonder if the truth will ever fully come to light, or if Bob Crane will forever remain a victim of a crime that was as complex as the man himself. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the calendar of crime.